Shalom. No, as it says, sometimes a man's mind want to tell him more than seven watchmen, right? Now imagine a tower with seven watchmen. They're gonna see seven different things, right? So this is how the mind works, right? And especially when you're dealing with a mind that is wounded, you have a lot of stories that you tell yourself, right? Now it's easier for you when you write them down so you can bring everything to your consciousness rather than just having them sitting in the background. You're not really conscious of these things until different situation comes up and then you realize, oh, you did it again and you did it again, right? Now, when it comes to helping people, sometimes we feel a sense of guilt or shame when we don't help, right? Now, we have to understand that this comes from a wounded mind. These stories, they come from a wounded mind, right? So, what we tell ourselves when we are wounded is different from what we tell ourselves when we have a lot of compassion, right? And when we are being kind to ourselves. So, you have to write down some of the things that you tell yourself so you can really look at it consciously, right? And have compassion on yourself. Now, when you don't help a person or when you say no, most of the times it is being interpreted as being mean, right? Being selfish. But it's not about being selfish, it's about setting intention. And whatever your intention is, that is what you're going to work with, regardless of how others take it, right? So the wounded mind will say, oh, if I say no, I'm being mean, I'm being selfish. Or you will tell yourself that, oh, you're not a good friend, you're a terrible parent if you say no to your child. I'm a carefree aunt or uncle because you're going out to do whatever you want to do, maybe have dinner or to some place where you had originally planned, but something comes up for your niece or your nephew, and you feel terrible because right? You say, I'm not doing enough. You feel as if, you know what, I should be doing more. I should be pleasing everyone. That's really what it is. No, you're doing enough. You're doing what you can do. You're doing your best, right? What happens sometimes is that you'll have a guilty feeling for saying no. And this is coming from, again, the wounded mind, right? Now, when you start to get into that healthy, compassionate way of thinking, right? What you'll notice is that what you tell yourself is very different from what your wounds tell you about yourself, right? The compassionate mind, the healthy mind understands that saying yes doesn't mean you're kind. So sometimes people say yes, it's not because they're kind, but sometimes they're really going against their own self, right? Just as saying no doesn't mean that a person is mean. That's just their intention. If I'm not helping you with this, I'm just not helping you. It has nothing to do with kind or being mean. It's just about my intention. I'm just not doing it, right? And most of the times, what we do is that we try to explain, try to give a reason for saying no. You don't need to give a reason. Your answer is just no, and that's what it is, right? No, don't displease yourself trying to please others because it is taking something from you every time. Every time you say yes to someone, knowing that that's not your true intention, you are taking away from yourself, right? You're even losing respect for yourself, right? And the healthy mind will, you will tell yourself that yes, you are still a loving parent even if you say no to your child. Your child must understand that, okay, mommy or daddy says no, right? It doesn't mean that you're not lovable. It doesn't mean that you love them any less. It has nothing to do with that. You're still the same loving, compassionate parent. But they have to understand that no is no. That's your intention, right? Your friend has to understand that you're still a good friend. Saying no doesn't change the relationship of the friendship, right? You are doing what you can do, right? So you're putting your priorities first, you're putting your health first as a priority, and that's where your focus is, that's where all your intention is going to be towards, focusing on your health care, right? So that is going to be your priority, and you're not going to put anything else above that. So what happens is that when you have a wounded mind, you need to be conscious of all the stories that you tell yourself. Then your upper brain need to have compassion on your own wounds, because sometimes what we do is we have compassion for others. We will know exactly what to tell them or how to treat them or how to deal with them, but when it comes to our own wounds, we do not have that compassion on ourselves, right? So it's important for us to, treat our wounds as, we need to have that nurturing spirit to deal with the wounds. We have to have that compassionate spirit to deal with our own wounds and not be so hard on ourselves, because that's what happens in most cases. When we are wounded, we become even more harsh on ourselves. And that's when we need to really go easy, right? Be less judgmental, and so forth. So we need to be that bigger person, right? To take care of our own wounds, to have the mercy and the grace and the compassion and show the love, be that parent for our wounded minds, right? And consciously get rid of the stories that we keep telling ourselves, are the stories that our wounds, our wounded minds keep telling us, right? So we can see them for what they are, see the situations for what they are, and not how our wounds feel about them, right? No longer we will take counsel from our wounds, but from our compassionate mind, right? So understand it's important to set your intention and you stick by that intent, right? And from there you will improve yourself, improve the things that you do, change the ways you do things or go about dealing with things, change how you deal with other people, and also to keep making your health your priority. Shalom.